Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Homemade. And today, of course, you know what I'm already gonna say. We are making one of, now I actually do really love this particular meal. It is oven roasted rabbit. I do like to put mine into a brine overnight, and this is just to kind of tenderize the meat a little more, especially if it's a wild rabbit. Now this is store bought. I bought it from a meat market, and they are actually pretty tender, but I still like to put it in the brine overnight. And you all, it is just a simple sugar and salt brine. Very simple. In here, I do have my half cup of sugar. I have 3 tablespoons of just regular table salt. And I also have 2 tablespoons of baking soda. The baking soda, it does help tenderize the meat even more. So, I just have some cold water here, and I have enough to where when I put my rabbit in there, the entire rabbit is submerged. Typically, I will put vinegar in there for the acid part of it, but I'm just gonna put some limes in there. I didn't squeeze the limes or anything like that because as they sit in the water, they will break down. When you take it out of the brine, because you don't want it to be, you know, sweet and salty and all those things, you do want to wash it to wash all that excess off. Then we're going to put it into the oven. We're going to roast it, and you all, this is going to be some of the best rabbit that you have ever tasted. So I'm gonna go ahead, put it into my brine, make sure it is submerged. And if you can't you know, go the entire time, you do want to make sure that you at least keep it in your brine for 8 hours in the fridge. And again, you want to make sure that it is totally submerged into your water. That's very important. Very important. So I'm going to pop this into the fridge, come back, show you how I season it, put it into the oven, and we're going to sample this good. We are back. Our rabbit has been in the refrigerator in our brine overnight. So I would say it's probably been in there for probably about 14 to 15 hours. As long as it's cold, it's totally fine. So now it is time for us to prepare our rabbit to go into the oven. I do have my oven preheated at 300 degrees. We are going to season this rabbit, and we are going to pop it into the oven, and we are going to let it cook for 2 hours without bothering it. We're going to let it roast, take the foil off because we are going to cover it. After the 2 hour mark, to remove the foil, and we are going to crank our oven up to 350 degrees and let it cook for about 30 more minutes. I just have 2 sticks of softened butter, and I'm going to put my spices into the butter because we're going to basically use that to cover our rabbit. Now in here I do have 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder. I do have 1 tablespoon of poultry seasoning, 1 tablespoon of Creole seasoning. I have my herb spice blend, and I also have my garlic and herb spice blend. Now we're going to put most of this into our butter, but I will say this, we are going to reserve just a little bit to sprinkle over our vegetables. For our vegetables, I chopped up 1 onion, I chopped up 2 large carrots, 3 stalks of large celery, and I also chopped up about, I would say, a half of a bell pepper. Now that we've gotten all of that worked in really well, we're going to take our rabbit and we are going to pat him dry. He's split down the middle, so you want to make sure you get in there also because we're going to rub some butter in there also. So now that our rabbit is patted dry, and remember I did wash the rabbit after I removed it from the brine. So now I'm just going to take my butter and start to just cover the rabbit. You want to make sure you cover him real good. Now that we have our rabbit covered, and I'm going to just take my gloves off, you all. We have our rabbit covered, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I guess you can say he's quote unquote spatchcocked, because he's split down the middle, and you can see that he is laying flat. Now, what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna take my vegetables, and we're just gonna put the vegetables around the sides of the rabbit, because once the juices from the rabbit start to cook and disperse, then our vegetables will soften up, and they'll have a lot of the juices on them. I'll just take my seasonings and hit my vegetables real good. We are about to cover our baking dish. Now, again, you want to do the pinch method with this, because you don't want any of your rabbit to stick to your foil that may be sticking up out of the baking sheet. But you do want to make sure that you wrap this really good. We're going to pop this into the oven, set my time for 2 hours, come back. After that, if it's done, I'm going to remove the foil. I'm going to come back, increase my heat to 350 degrees, and I'm going to let it cook for about 30 minutes. Our rabbit has cooked for the entire 2 hours on 300 degrees. It smells so good. Now, I like to eat mine with rice, and you can see my vegetables did cook down. Now, I will say this. I did continue to baste it when I removed the foil. You do want to make sure that you baste it at least every 10 minutes. But if you all can see these vegetables, they look so good. So I just kind of like to give my vegetables a good stir and drain all the excess liquid from them. Place them on my rice. And we are about to dig into our rabbit. And I just like, and you all, it is so tender. I mean, when I say tender, I'm using a knife, but I really don't have to. And we're just going to take that back. If you'll see, look, it's just so tender. We're just going to put that right there. Not only does this look good, it smells so good. And you all look how tender our meat is. If you've never tried rabbit, you have to try it first of all. It is so good. But if you've never oven roasted your rabbit, I dare you to give this recipe a try. When you do give it a try, make sure you leave your comments, your pictures in the comment section below. Let me know if you liked it, if you changed something, if you won't try it again, whatever the case may be. If you want to keep seeing our easy homemade recipes, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our channel. I always say this, cooking, it's as easy or as hard as you make it. But I promise you, if you keep it simple, just be yourself, life in itself can be so much easier. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Homemade. And until next time, continue to be great.